Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts back once again with another reaction for you guys. Today, guys, of course, we're here continuing the journey of the Batman. This is the Batman Season 2, Episode 5, Swamped. Last episode, The Laughing Bat, was honestly, the more I think about it, one of the most interesting episodes of the show, and I keep thinking about it because the fact that Joker was so dedicated to creating his own bat suit. Obviously, some changes here there in terms of the cape and the gadgets and everything. And I think the bat symbol was a little bit different too, the signia. And he has his own bat wave and everything, and he had his own version of the Batmobile. He was really dedicated, and his voice, he was like really trying to be low in the voice like Bruce is when he's Batman. He was trying so hard to be the Batman, but at times he's laughing, so he can't control himself. And then he wanted to make Bruce, Batman, his own Joker. Since he's the Batman, he sees himself as the Batman now, Joker does. He needs to make his own Joker. So that was really interesting. And then, of course, they threw Penguin in the middle of it, which was, like, bizarre at first. But overall, I'm like, okay, just adding another villain to the mix because it changes up the dynamic of the episode because, like, they don't waste any time. Like, right away, you see Batman, Joker, and then he's there. And then we reveal right away it's an imposter. Batman turns the guy around, smiling face, like, stuck. And then you see Joker, I'm Batman. It's like, okay, or I'm the Batman, whatever. And it's like, okay. And the concept and the execution was so good. I really enjoyed it. In fact, that Bruce was just slowly unhinging and just laughing at everything. And at the end there, of course, in the third act, essentially, where it's Batman and Batman, Joker fighting Penguin, or they're fighting each other, all this kind of craziness. Bruce is laughing as he's still kicking ass, but he can't stop laughing and making like bad jokes. It was just great. I really love how this show is just continuing to surprise me because like that concept, I never would have thought about it. But I was thinking if they ever do it, it could just be some guy being inspired by Batman. No, it's Joker. They went that far with it's being Joker's the one who was inspired to become the Batman. So I really am enjoying it. I can't wait to continue this show. I'm really enjoying the hell out of it. And I'm so glad that I decided to start watching it for the channel. So here we go, guys. Season 2, Episode 5, Swamped. Let's go. Oh. Killer Croc? Really? Oh, wow.
Speaking of heat.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man, is that the bat?
No. Oh, my God.
Boys, I'm a whole different breed.
The voice. Yeah, you can't fight this guy. Killer Croc, whatever.
You need to learn yourself some manners.
What the hell? Keeping trophies.
So I've chosen to archive them. A private museum.
Okay, archiving the villain stuff.
Batman may someday.
Just out in the open, just chilling in that boat. You found the guys. Yeah, you're screwed.
I'd like to have a word with this boss you fellas mentioned.
Trust me, you don't want to meet him. He's just watching the fight go down. He's seeing how good is this guy. Uh-oh. Bruce, you're not ready for this. I'm telling you right now.
You want something done right?
Yeah, do it yourself.
Best to do it yourself.
Yeah. That's a way to... Oh.
Well, folks are gonna start hearing about how Killer Croc stopped
Oh.
you good.
Stop you good. Yeah, it's not gonna work, dude. It's not gonna work. Ooh. Here's the problem. He's just fine in there. You're not. Oh, shit. Get that breath. My God.
Well, first chance I get, it's after Wild Crocodile.
Oh, you're an idiot.
Master Bruce, your bat suit may be dripped
Yeah.
dry. You, however, are not.
Yeah. The Batwave. He didn't say it this time. Surprised.
Financial district was hit by the largest flood in the city's history. The cause of the flood is still unknown.
How? That is insane how Killer Croc's able to pull that off. It's insane how he's able to flood Gotham pretty much as a whole, it seems. Oh, that's a new suit! What?
How about a little game of chicken?
Okay.
Cajun style.
Okay, let's do it. They're not stopping. Ooh. Ramping up. Careful. Ooh, if he wouldn't have moved, he might have died there. I don't know. He's going to try to run you over. Exactly. I like that new suit. That's awesome.
Some think he's a genetic experiment, a crossbreed
I mean,
soldier or
that's
something.
That's probably the first thing we talk about.
Kind of voodoo in the bayou. Croc's new in town. He's got big
He's literally
plans.
just showing up.
Robbing banks.
Okay, he can go underwater. Oh, that was cool. He better be careful in here. I'm just saying. He better be careful.
Schematics of Gotham.
Yeah, leaving out his plans or something out? Uh-oh.
A bloodhound, didn't you? They were designed to drain the canals into the bay in case of flooding. If you reverse the pumps,
They draw water in from the bay, filling the canals.
Yep.
Until they
Overflow.
submerge any part of Gotham situated below sea level. Tens of thousands of lives could be lost.
and I'll
He doesn't
shed
care.
a crocodile tear for each and every one.
That's dark. Wow. Oh, okay, never. I was like, what is he doing? Okay, so you gotta figure out how you're gonna fight some crocs. Keep him in. Smart. It's that simple. Should they have made this machine not so that it couldn't pull water in to flood Gotham?
You are peskier than a fly in a...
He ain't gonna let you finish. Ooh. Of course, he can do it pretty much with kind of ease. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, with the growl is just to show dominance, I guess? Oh, boy. Oh, crap. Oh, wow. You got a plan? Yeah, this is not good. Gotham's already flooding. Got a plan? Ooh, there you go. At that point, he could have slammed him down, you know, on his back, on his knee. Ooh. Yeah, a wrong hit would kill you. Ooh. Hold all the water back. Okay. That was a little ridiculous. Oh, his tooth. See, I don't think he physically can stand up to him somewhat, but back doing this water trick again. He's already tried this before. Oh.
Dry little spot to catch my breath between heists.
Oh.
Or amphibious acquaintance.
Oh. Oh. Oh, no. I'm surprised he can carry him. He's got to be really heavy.
Crocs may like water, but they're no fish.
What are you looking at?
You missed a spot.
And I just mopped that floor.
Exactly. Another great episode of The Batman, and the title Swamped makes a lot of sense now because, of course, Killer Croc was the villain of this episode, and I like how they didn't waste any time showing him showing up in Gotham. But they didn't explain exactly why he's in Gotham. He's just there, I guess. Gotham's a pretty big city, I guess. At some point, villains or people that are looking to potentially do some good or bad, in this case, bad, may travel to Gotham for different reasons, but he shows up. First of all, like the design and the voice. I think it was Ron Perlman. I believe that was him voicing the character. I'm like, that sounds like Ron Perlman, but overall, I really liked how they designed and how they portrayed Killer Croc in this episode. I like how he just shows up and just confronts these three guys who are causing a bank robbery or some sort of robbery or whatever, like jewels or something, and he slams on that car. First of all, they show how big he is compared to those three guys. Shows how strong he is, because when he slams, that car gets flattened. It's pretty insane. And then he shows dominance, because they show them, all three of those guys, essentially trying to go and actually fight Killer Croc, and they fail horribly at it. I think it was like the two guys got knocked out, and the third guy was like, oh, what do you want to cause? Like, you can call me boss, but I'm Killer Croc, you know, whatever. But they do a couple things. They first of all show the design right away. They don't try to hide it, because they could have maybe hid the design a little bit and then, you know, show a little bit later. But they show the design. They show him basically how big he is and how strong he is compared to three other guys. He flattens that car. It shows this is not going to be an easy fight for Batman, and it really wasn't, because that first fight that goes down on that big freighter boat, Batman, of course, takes out those three guys like nothing. We don't even get to see it, but Killer Croc witnesses and sees it from the shadows. He's watching Batman take out his three guys that he recruited as, you know, people working for him now. He watches Batman fight these three guys, and then he fights him one-on-one. Batman was holding his own as much as he could, but ultimately he was not prepared for this fight. It kind of reminded me a little bit, and it's definitely not a good comparison, but it reminded me of the Mr. Freeze fight when Mr. Freeze was first introduced in season 1, because Batman was unprepared of how like over the top his ice powers are and how his suit and everything is just not capable of handling that. So he had to create his own winter type suit or whatever to fight against that cold, and ultimately had to find a different strategy to take down Mr. Freeze the first time. So for here, he's wearing his regular suit, not realizing who the boss is until Killer Croc reveals himself. And I like how they portrayed Batman's like response to seeing him, like what? He like lifts his head, he's like the face like, and I can just imagine under the cowl, Bruce is like, the fuck? But he can't say that, but you get my point. It's probably a little unsettling to see this. And so that first fight goes down. Bruce luckily gets out, but he gets away from the fight essentially, but he loses that fight. Okay. The second time around, and I don't know how this occurred. I have no idea how this occurred. So Killer Croc, this feels like something would do in a season finale of a show like this, but Killer Croc floods in a dry run, as he calls it. He floods a part of Gotham downtown. He just floods it. There's this machine that is nearby his lair, and he's able to, instead of pumping water out in case Gotham is flooded, they can pump water out into the river, out into the, I guess like a rivers or whatever, all the canals. But instead they can reverse it and use this machine to pump water into Gotham. I'm thinking, first of all, this is really over the top because they're flooding Gotham, and they already did it once. And they were starting to do it again the second time there towards the end, and basically the third act, as you will, because when I call first, second, and third act essentially for these episodes is whenever it goes to black screen and then it jumps back in. That's the second act. When it does the second time, then goes into the last bit. That's the third act. Of course, the first act is the beginning up to that first black screen. So I'm thinking he's already flooded a part of Gotham once. Okay, craziness there. He started doing it again, and then luckily Batman reversed it. Why would they design that machine for it to pump water from the canals from the river into Gotham? Why would they make a reversing mechanism? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. But of course, Killer Croc used this to his advantage. Maybe there is a reason why a city would do that. A reversal? I don't know, but it just seems like that would not benefit Gotham at all if somebody, because we saw it does not. There was something really, really dark that Killer, because I'm thinking about it right now, so I want to make sure I address it. There was something really dark that was said when Bruce finds Croc's location, his lair, if you will. He says, he's talking back and forth, and Killer Croc says he's going to fully flood downtown where all the good shopping is, as he says. Bruce, I keep saying Bruce, but Batman, you get my point. He responds saying tens of thousands of lives will be lost. I think more than that, but he says that number. They have Croc say, and I'll cry a tear for each single one, or a crocodile tear for each single one, or whatever. Like, the response, like, that was dark for this show, for him to say, like, mockingly, I'll cry a tear for each one of them, talking about people's deaths. That's Killer Croc, he's a villain, so, but like that's really dark for this show. I'm like, young kids watching this show probably wouldn't catch on to how dark that is and how dark of a response it is, but for someone that understands context and phrasing and how they're wording that, wow. And then showing Batman's response to that, what Killer Croc said in response to that, I'm like, that's the right response. He gets angry. So to the flooding part, Bruce, just like with the Mr. Freeze situation, he shows up with a new suit. A new suit. I liked it. I was thinking at first it was like an armor / swim diving type suit. I don't think it had really armor per se. I feel like it was more like a diving suit because literally his regular suit, of course, being dragged all the way down to the bottom of the river. Would it be the ocean at that point? Anyways, in Gotham Bay. But it's completely soaked, so he has a suit more designed to deal with water, essentially. I like the new design. It was really cool. And I wonder if we're going to see more new suit designs from time to time when it's warranted. I don't want it to see just cause. I mean, I would kind of like that, but you get my point. I like it when there's a story purpose for a new suit. That's really cool. So they have these jet skis, essentially. He has his own bat version of a jet ski. It was really cool to see that. He gets some information, of course, finds the lair and everything. Killer Croc has crocodiles. Of course he has crocodiles as pets. Of course he does. But they don't really put too much of a threat because Bruce already figures out how to go against that. The third act was also interesting because they're going back and forth on the pump and everything. And so what I like is that he had to think outside of the box fighting Killer Croc, because he was thinking back on two things. Number one, Killer Croc says, this is a nice place to dry off in between heists or whatever, essentially like, he needs air. And then also when Alfred says your amphibious, acquaintance or whatever, and basically saying, Crocs love the water, but they also need air too. So he holds him under, because Killer Croc starts dragging Batman back down under the water. He knew this was probably going to happen at some point, or this is a potential, so he needs to be prepared. And he was prepared, because he thought, he wasn't really prepared until he thought about those two things in the moment, but he had to have thought, Killer Croc's going to pull this move again. He's going to try it again, because he's already tried it once. He's probably going to try it again. So he holds him down and then pulls him back up, and then he ties all them up around that statue, and then he's out of there. What I really like too, on top of this main A-plot storyline, we had a B-plot storyline. It was a little bit, but it was really fascinating because, as we know in the lore of Batman, there's trophies of villains that he's faced, like a giant coin and some Joker stuff, like throughout the comics, and of course the animated series from the 90s, they have these different things, and of course in Justice League or whatever, and of course continuation of the Batman animated series with it later on, we see all these memorabilia stuff. Essentially, it's kind of hard to call it memorabilia, but my point. But the way they're phrasing it here, and it kind of makes sense, is that they kept hold of certain items from villains because they're cases, and all these cases are closed, and I'm going to make the kind of like a private museum, because Alfred thinks that the world's going to look more favorably on Batman as time goes on. Bruce's like, well, don't count on it, because you never know. But Alfred's thinking ahead, because eventually because it seems like art of Gotham is kind of shifting a little bit. And once again, no Yen in this episode. Again, you would think Yen would want to be involved in all this craziness, but no Yen, no GCPD until the ending where they're showing up in the police cars as Batman goes away. But, like, we already had in the Mr. Freeze Firefly episode where they're all clapping, like, yeah, Batman, at the end, when they're like, he saved us, Batman saved us. So maybe there is a slight turn. Maybe people will start viewing Batman differently, and Alfred's thinking, we need to keep a hold of this private collection of stuff, because, you just never know. It's right, it's a private collection now, but it may be seen differently later. So Alfred's thinking ahead. But overall, enjoyed the episode. They handled the Killer Croc design. Like, now at this point, now seeing another new villain being introduced, Killer Croc and everything, and seeing the design of it, I'm really curious to see who else we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of the show in terms of characters and what their designs are going to be, because, like, the essence for a lot of the characters are there, and sometimes the designs can be a little bit different than others in terms of, like, when you think on other iterations of a character in terms of design, animation, or live action. But in this case, Killer Croc, really like the design, and it really does fit in terms of when you think of Killer Croc. This is a version that is feasible, makes sense, because there's, of course, a lot of different versions of Killer Croc in the comics, and, of course, other iterations of animation. And I think we've had Killer Croc in live action, didn't we? Like in the Gotham show, I think we had a version of, I can't remember, but you get my point. We've seen a lot of versions of the character, and I really like the design they went with this one, and the voice, it just really fit. So what do you guys think of the episode? I'm curious to know your thoughts. Whatever thoughts you have, guys, let me know in the comments below. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.